and then persons will join us as we go along. Hello, Tammy. Dr. Tammy. Let me honor the work. Sorry, I'm forgetting one thing. Glasses. Where is it? I need to honor the title, Dr. Tammy. How are you doing this beautiful afternoon?
I'm doing well. Just I'm excited to be here, and I'm just thankful for the opportunity to do what I enjoy doing. That's
Us.
discussing mental health and ways to promote spiritual and emotional intelligence. So,
Awesome. Okay. I'll start with saying welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us this beautiful Saturday afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time it is where you are at. This is our final episode for the for CYV for the year, and then we'll be back next year. And then we'll go from there. But today, this beautiful day, I have the privilege. I'm honored to have Dr. Tani Michael Olanira. Huh, that is long. I don't know how you do it. You already made it work. You like Michael Hole. We'll make it. I like that. And frankly speaking, one of the few things that we don't talk about well enough is our mental health, your emotional intelligence as it relates to your mental health, especially in the corporate space or even as entrepreneurs. Most people do both things. Once upon a time, you were either a business owner or you were a career person. And nowadays, persons are doing both, right? No, they will say that there's no one way to go to markets. There are different routes to enter the markets. The goal is to is to make sure that your money is complete. And but then we don't talk enough. We don't talk about it enough as it relates to our mental health. And some persons really get really it gets really bad before they realize that something is missing. But before we jump into the topic for today, um out of the all the persons that have come to grace us with their presence and their knowledge thus far this year, I would say that Timmy is the one that I have known the longest. We've known each other since we were teenagers, at least late teens, and I'm privileged to know a bit of Timmy's story. And Timmy is one of the most, in our own words, mentally resilient persons that I have met in my entire life. And if you hear a bit of Timmy's story, you realize that with everything that you're going through, yeah, God is on our side. Timmy, anyways, I don't think I have uh the words to be able to introduce you. So I'll let you introduce yourself. Who is Timmy?
all
And you're
right, thank you, thank you. And when you talk about, oh, you're one of the most mentally resilient people, I'm like, what have I been through? But then, when I just think back at, my experience, and I can see how my spirituality has helped me arrive where I am. So, just a few things about me, Tammy, Dr. Tammy. My PhDs in infant and early childhood mental health and developmental disorders. Now, some people may be like, what has that got to do with the workspace? But, I've spent years studying human behavior. Why do we do what we do? Why are we who we are? And one thing I've come to understand is that our childhood experiences, they're responsible for how we do life. Even
Hmm.
your career choices may be shaped by your childhood experiences. So why emotional intelligence for me? So I have a bachelor's in psychology with a minor in biology. I have two masters, a master's in human relations, one in international relations. And I actually have three masters: human relations, international relations, and the other one in infant and early childhood development. Then my PhD in infant and early child development with specialization in mental health and developmental disorders. So I came to a point in my life where I had all these degrees, but still there, it felt like something was missing in my life. I was book smart, but then when it came to relationships, I was awkward. I could not speak up for myself like I should. And also the workplaces, I could not navigate the workplace even though I had all this knowledge. And I feel like that's where a lot of people find themselves. And growing up in Nigeria, West Africa really shaped that person in me. They tell you, oh, you don't look at this person when they're talking to you, oh, you're just going to be fine. So I grew up internalizing a lot. And it was later on, while serving children with developmental disorders, issues, I began to see, oh, okay, the way I was raised is responsible for this awkwardness and this it's actually called timidity, really, not being able to speak up and not being able to negotiate for yourself and just settling for less despite having like a sound educational background. And also as I began to explore emotional intelligence, I saw that wow, everyone needs to be emotional intelligent. And I also saw that there was a connection, or there is a connection between spiritual intelligence and emotional intelligence. So I've been an advocate for promoting spiritual and emotional intelligence after discovering the impact of my own lack of emotional and spiritual intelligence on my perception of life, my work, and also in the way I was raising my children as well. So that's why I do what I do. Yeah.
Before I forget, she's okay. Timmy is a U.S. Army veteran, and
Oh, yes.
I remember a few years ago when she was going through um the whole Army training, and she'll send photos of this grilling training. I'm like, babe, what are you doing? Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this? And I remember, even in making that decision, when we're talking, and
Yes.
she should be like, Fisayo, you know, I have to, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. And right now,
Yeah.
the US Army would be the one to help me. And I'll be like, Tammy, what if they send you to Iraq? What if they send you to all these war places?
Yeah.
Babe, please now. But ultimately, I remember us having that conversation, and I was sent to go talk to somebody else to make sure that that conversation balanced. But just listening to her, even in that conversation, itemizing why going into the US Army, like I think even before you started to, like before you make the decision to get into like full-blown psychology, you were already coming to terms with, this is who I am. I think
Yeah.
ultimately this is what I want to do. You always had that heart. And I think going through the old army training, and then okay, oh, I have the opportunity to get this master's degree, to get this PhD degrees, kind of like now shaped that. But then
Mhm.
let's get into the questions of today.
Yeah.
Something is, Tammy is an author. If you use U version, you would come across some of our Bible plans. She also owns and she runs her own business. I don't know how to pronounce it. Help me. I
So
don't.
I little ones, PICMH. So
Yeah.
PICMH is perinatal infant and early childhood mental health. So yeah.
Also, so she literally works with moms from, like, you get pregnant and she will work with you through after baby all the way. And to come to we grown-ups, right? We think that we have life figured out. The truth is we don't. Everyone is figuring it out as we're going. But to come to we grown-ups that are in the workspace, and we're going through many things, and we're reacting in different ways. And even from what the first thing you said, that our childhood experiences actually do shape our behaviors now, whether we're willing to admit it or not. Well, at least until we come to the fullness of who we are in Christ. But the first question today is, in what ways can emotional intelligence, and maybe in this case you could help us just define emotional intelligence, but then in
Okay.
what ways would do you think that helps career owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, as we all aim to be in whatever sphere of life that we're in what areas will our emotional intelligence, at least that being very, very much developed, really help to foster strong relationships, help to build our teams, inspire them, and then demonstrate our value, to partners and customers, that kind of stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'll quickly just give you a background on emotional intelligence. So when I begin to talk about the ways emotional intelligence can help us as entrepreneurs and leaders, then it begins to make more sense. So I will just simply describe emotional intelligence as how we manage ourselves and our relationships, how we manage our emotions, and also help others manage their own emotions. So there are five core dimensions of emotional intelligence. So you need to have like these five things together for you to say, oh, I am an emotional intelligent person. So number one is you should have the capacity for self-regulation. That is, you should know how to calm yourself down. When you start getting angry, when someone is talking down on you, or when situations are not, when things are kind of dysregulated, you should be able to self regulate. So, self regulation, number one. Number two, self awareness. You should know who you are, right? And what you bring to the table, how you respond to different situations. You should know your strengths, your weaknesses. That's part of self-awareness. So you should have self-regulation, self-awareness. Motivation, you should be self-motivated, or something should be able to motivate you or drive you to do things. That's number three. Number four is empathy. You should be able to enter other people's world and understand what they are going through, why they are doing. Just being present for other people. And number five, you should have social skills, like be able to interact with people. So it's possible for someone to have social skills, but they should lack self-regulation. You get what I'm saying? People that just talk, they just talk, but they don't know when to stop. So for you to be more to say, oh, I'm an emotional intelligent person, you should have all those five dimensions really like functioning well for you. All right. So going let me just I think I've done a good job explaining what those terms are, like
Yeah.
self-regulation, self-awareness. So back to your questions. So I'm just gonna pick like one of two of those or three of those dimensions to say, hey, this is why you need to be emotionally intelligent as an entrepreneur or and leader. And I do see these days, even in the military community, they will talk about, providing emotional intelligence training for the workforce there.
Yeah.
And one of the research I was pursuing a grant for recently was how to use emotional intelligence to keep the workforce in the early childhood settings, because they were losing staff, right? So,
Mm,
and we need children to have stable relationships, not people just coming in and out of their lives. So how do we
yeah.
use emotional intelligence to stabilize us? So that was one of the things I am still working on. So when it comes to entrepreneurs and leaders, let's talk about empathy. Like, let's take that dimension of emotional intelligence. Why do you need to develop empathy and all that? So when you're a person who is empathetic, people want to work with you, right? They don't see you as just someone who wants to use them. They begin to see you as someone who cares for them, someone who is concerned about them. And that's how you keep your workforce. They trust you. They see that, oh, when I come late, this person doesn't just yell at me. They try to understand, okay, why are you late? So that's really a reason why we should be empathetic. We should strengthen that capacity. When we
Mm,
strengthen that capacity, we foster a culture where people are loyal to us and they trust us, even with our customers as well, right? They are loyal to us and they trust us. Why? Because I can empathize that, you're late because you had to feed your children. You're late because maybe you're sick, something happened. So stepping into other people's shoes, as team leaders, as entrepreneurs, helps us gain trust and loyalty, which is what keeps the company going, right? All right. So I would also say, with regards to conflict resolution, emotional intelligence is very important for conflict resolution. What we do see is sometimes when someone is not emotionally intelligent, and they are confronted with like, oh, so why didn't you do this? Instead of them speaking up, they just shut down, right? And then you start rehearsing in your head, I should have said this, I should have said that, and then that's still showing a lack of emotional intelligence because you're not prepared to face the conflict. You didn't manage the conflict. Well, either people have an outburst of emotions or they shut down, which is
Mm,
not how to manage conflict. But as leaders, if we can learn to, foster that culture or that space where the employees and our customers are able to come to us to say, hey, this is what's going on. I would like us to resolve these issues. Then, we promote an emotionally intelligent environment. And it's really a safe space for people, right? All right. It reduces stress. Okay. Can I still go on?
yes, please.
Good. All right. So let's talk about what yeah, so customer relationship. I already talked about empathy, very important in fostering customer relationship. Also the communication skills. If you're working with people, we talked about one of the dimensions of emotional intelligence as social skills. How do you network to get clients? How do you network with other people in your space, in your colleagues or other top leaders in your field? It's through having social skills, being able to communicate that, hey, this is what I do, this is what we stand for, and these are my values and all that. So that's a really important skill to develop. Yeah, so we really need to be emotionally intelligent in order to keep our workspace safe,
Mm.
and also to raise resilient leaders, and to keep the business going, really. To keep the business going, yeah.
So if I wanted to flip that question and I'll say, okay, emotional intelligence, like most times when we think about mental health,
Mhm.
I'll say personally, I don't even like, I don't see like, I don't see how emotional intelligence fits into having having your mental health, like a healthy mental health, right? And now I'm hearing everything you're saying. I'm like, oh, they're not mutually exclusive. They literally fit into each other. So as persons, like some of us on this call were parents, were business owners, we answer to a manager or we're managers, we have that persons reporting to us. And we're looking at all of these dimensions of emotional intelligence. How does that really feed into our overall mental health as individuals?
What I would say is that, well, when it comes to emotional intelligence, there's a connection with emotional intelligence and your capacity to manage stress, which is the biggest thing that causes like mental breakdown, physical break. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
as we expand or enhance our emotional intelligence, then we position ourselves to support our mental health, because you're going to reduce stress when you can communicate how you feel, like this is how I'm feeling, and when you can regulate how you feel, and also you can step into other people's world, you have your own values, and you can set boundaries. So those are the ways that emotional intelligence um connects with the mental health. I think it's specifically in relation to stress. Stress is one of the biggest things in the workforce, right? Burnouts, when you can't set boundaries, when you don't know how to communicate your values, just like you say, like, hey, I'm setting these boundaries. I have work-life balance, and all those things. Yeah.
Thank you. Then we'll go into question two. If persons can confirm that they can see the Slido link, if you have any questions, we want to keep questions anonymous. So if you have any questions, please ask your questions on Slido. I am posting it again. Um, okay. To second question. So as professionals now, we're seeing the relationship between our emotional intelligence and our mental health. So, what strategies, based off of your field of study, will you um, can you prefer to professionals where we can leverage those strategies to manage our mental health, and if there are any mental health challenges, while we're also staying focused on I want to grow, I want to keep communicating my value every day, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, thank you. And so I'll just share the first thing which I'm really big on is meditation, mindfulness practices, which includes meditation, taking deep breaths and stuff like that. So it's about you being proactive with your with the practice of meditation. And recently I read that top leaders, they meditate every single day. So I know perhaps some people are Christian here and they're like, oh, I'm a Christian. I don't, like to meditate. All right. It's meditation is even in the Bible, there it talks a lot about meditation. Because what happens with meditation is you renew your subconscious mind
Hmm,
to accept new realities. So let's say that you were brought up a certain way where you're so timid, you can speak up for yourself, even though you know in your head that I need to speak up for myself, even though you know in your head that these are my values, but your subconscious may have something different because of your environment or your social situation. Things have been internalized, so you find yourself going in the direction that you did not you don't want. So
hmm,
with what happens with meditation is because about 90% of the decisions we make, they're they're driven by our subconscious. It's just like when someone says, oh, I don't want to be like my mother, but they end up being like their mother, right? Because of the things they've internalized. All right,
yeah.
so mindfulness or meditation is an important tool for for um for supporting our mental health or emotional intelligence. So this is how to practice meditation. So you begin to you renew your subconscious mind by accepting new truths that you begin to speak over and over again. You say it over and again. And for me personally, I'll use myself as an example. As a Christian, I take some scriptures and begin to speak it over and over and over again. And I'm not just speaking it mindlessly without engaging my mind. I'm like picturing what I want to see. So I begin to see myself as being bold. Let's say I take a scripture that talks about being bold, and I begin to tell myself, I am bold. I am bold. I am bold. And then it replaces those words that people have spoken over me that say, you are good for nothing, you are just a timid person, shut up, don't speak. And those things have gone into my subconscious. But as I say it, my subconscious begins to replace those negative words with the
Hmm,
positive words. And I begin to paint pictures of what I want for myself, how I want my day to go. So every day, it's a daily practice of you saying, you know what, this is how I want my day to go. And I'm going to speak how it should go. And I'm going to say it over and over and over again. But my own personally is usually not just rooted in my own self, like trying to promote myself, but what does, based on my value of spirituality, which is as a Christian, God's word for me. What does the
yeah.
Bible say about this situation, about this issue in my life? All right. So like let's say for example with meditation, I had a huge struggle with excessive eating, right? And it was affecting my mental health because when you eat excessively, your brain begins to slow down, you become emotionally dysregulated. So what I did personally for myself was I was like, okay, I'm going to take scriptures that talks about self-control, mastering my flesh, and I began to say it over and over again, and I began to see it over and over again. So through meditation, I actually attracted the resources I needed to break free from, overeating, the spirit of gluttony. And then that was how I broke free from it. and I was able to take charge of my mental health that way. So
Mm,
you have to be proactive. So what's that situation? Is there like a colleague that you kind of like tremble when you see that and that person, or you have just this feeling when you see them? Now you're going to, as a Christian, for myself, I would go into the scripture and say, okay, there's something wrong. Why am I fearful? Because fear can be connected to that. And I begin to say, I have the spirit of power, love, and sound mind. And I say it to myself over and over and over and over again. And it builds up something. And I see myself actually being able to confront that person or that situation and navigate it. So that's an important tool to keep in mind. Meditation. All right. And the second tool I'll give here is work-life balance, right? Work-life balance it communicates your value. It communicates your value for your own mental health. It communicates your value for your family. So if you value your family, you will draw those lines and say, hey, work is over. It's time to move on to something, and taking breaks, setting boundaries like, after 7 p.m., I'm not going to take calls from work because my family is important to me, because my mental health is important to me. And
mm.
yeah, so that's really important. Yeah.
I really like that. The power of meditation. I think most times when persons hear the word meditation, they think like you kind of like need to sit down, legs crossed together and go, I'm like, no, I'm not sitting down and in. But I like how Tini has kind of like expressed it is being intentional. There's that word going on over and over and over, and you keep thinking it and saying it until it comes alive. I remember, and then for the work-life balance, I was reading something that someone wrote on LinkedIn. He's a founder and his business is doing really well. But he was saying he said that he made up his mind like years ago when he started his business that he was not going to be that man who was on the third or fourth business and also on the third or fourth wife. So for him,
Mm,
every Tuesday, come rain,
yeah.
come shine, is out of the office by 5 o'clock. It is me and my wife's time, and they've done it now for decades. And because of that, he still has one wife and children that love him, even though he is
Mm,
this wealthy businessman. And he bakes that boundary into his business, saying that you know what, Tuesday night is me and family night. We're not playing with this. And I'm sure he would have had to do some, back and forth there,
yeah.
but saying that. So that intentionality with our work life, my people at work know that once we pass 5 o'clock, I'm not looking at my phone. Like I legit will see your email, I just would not respond as well. It's 5 o'clock, and it's me and my family's time. But we'll see how I'll be when I become like full blown business person. Your boundaries. I will drop with that. Thank you so much, Dr. T. Ah,
I have two
really?
more
Yeah.
tools for strategies for managing mental health challenges.
Yes, please.
And the third one is you should seek support, have like community support. Someone may see things differently than you. You should have a strong support system. And when you are able to create a strong support system, then you are able to also encourage your employees or those under your influence to have that support system, reaching out to mental health professionals, that those professionals that their values align with yours. Very important. So you
Mm,
are not stressed. You are not trying to say, okay, how do I, navigate this new relationship again? And also you need someone whose value aligns with yours. And also learning, I think it's important to be proactive about learning. So when I see that, oh, there is a leadership challenge, instead of just sitting there and just like hoping it goes away, like that means it's time to sharpen or brush up on my leadership skills,
mm,
continue learning. Okay, so if I'm feeling this way, how should I talk to this person? we have the internet now. You even have co-pilot, you have AI and all those things. They will tell you what you need to do. Okay, so you have to learn, continue how to manage your emotions, and how to keep your mind. It also helps you keep your mind active, right? When you continue learning
Hmm.
how to navigate relationships. So those are the four that I have here. I have, meditation, work-life balance, seeking support, having a strong support system, and continuous learning. So those are four important strategies for managing our mental health.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Timmy. Um, to our next question, and this one is more of okay. So, well, this year, I would say, even since 2023, has been an interesting year, especially for persons that are in the career area. We've seen a lot of companies with layoffs. So, persons like personally, I know people that like lay off or struggling to land new roles, and it does take it does take a toll sometimes. If if you've ever been laid off, oh God, it's not a place that you wish your worst enemy, because there's there are just a lot of things going on mentally, right? So now, how do we leverage how do you even build emotional resilience? You know, some persons would get hit by those kind of things and they are up and running. It's like, this is not me. I'm not going to let this even touch me or bother me. Whereas there's
Mhm,
some of us that get laid off, and like for the first 2 weeks, we don't want to see anybody. We just want to stay in
mhm,
bed and keep mourning our losses or grieving our losses, whatever the word is in that. So,
mhm,
how can we build emotional resilience as professionals, as business owners? Because I'm pretty sure business owners do not exactly have it easy, because you're trying to grow revenue. If you have
mhm,
employees, you're also trying to make sure that you don't fail them as it relates to having their paychecks ready when it's when it should be due. So there's pressure on that end. So everybody faces pressure. And sometimes clients leave. Sometimes they have complaints that you're just wondering, well, what's going on here. So how do we build emotional resilience? And then how do we leverage that in maintaining our mental health while still ensuring that we're communicating our value, even in this very interesting, in quote, job market that we're, interesting economy with inflation and all, whatever that looks like for persons? How do you build your emotional resilience, and how can you leverage that to make sure that you're navigating the setbacks that life throws at you, and then ensuring that you're still maintaining your mental health as you go along? Bless you.
yeah. Well, let's first look at the dimension of self-awareness. So a self-aware person knows you know your values, right? You know how valuable you are.
Hmm.
So once you that's self-awareness, more like your sense of self, your identity is secure, then it's harder for those type of stresses, those situations to keep you down, because everyone gets hit, right? But it depends on how long you stay down. But when
Yeah.
you know that I have something to give, you know your strengths. You're like, I'm strong in this area and I'm going to work on my strength, right? Maybe they laid me off because of my weaknesses. So, okay, this is my weakness. I'm going to develop that and turn it around in a way that, will make me even more valuable. So it's still about, your self-awareness, developing your strengths, and also looking for, ways to turn those weaknesses into strength. Very important for emotional resilience. And these things have to be done proactively, right? It's you
Hmm.
think ahead, and we need to be adaptable, right? Just understand that, situations change, and I'm also changing. The workplace is changing. So I need to be adaptable. I need to be flexible. I need to, don't just be stuck in your ways and say, oh, no, I don't need to learn something new. This is why I am no be adaptable, be open to learning new skills. All right. And the third one I have here is having supportive relationships. Very important. Those the network, and I think that's why we have LinkedIn as well. Those relationships, like always um, fall back on. You have your family system. So if you started drawing boundaries and having this work life balance, it's easier for you to draw from those relationships. And also having mentors, those are very important relationships that can help you say, that has happened to me and this was how I navigated that situation. So it helps you
Mm,
to be, not to stay down for a long time. That's what makes us emotionally resilient. It's not like we don't get hit at all, but not staying there for a long time, using the resources that we have to help us rise above those challenges. And the last one I'll talk about is, developing effective communication. It would help us to express what we are feeling even under pressure. We're able to say, okay, this is how I feel about this. And yeah, because if you're going to even talk with people about what's going on, you need to be able to communicate that. You need to yeah, those are four things that come to mind about connecting, and how we connect emotional resilience with emotional intelligence. Yeah.
thank you. You when you said don't be stuck in your ways, open to learning new things. I'm like, Tammy, shots fired. Because for me, I'm not a social media person. I'm not a fan. Like if you ask me, they laugh at me when I say that WhatsApp is my social media. That's as much social media that I'm willing to handle in my life. But I also know that to grow, it's the world that we live in, and you have to be, as you said, adaptable. So I know I need to learn. I need to learn how to work on this and learn discipline in that area, such that social media is now a blessing to me versus something that is distracting. So
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
think, yeah, when it comes to like social media and you being adapting to this changing environment, and also, so first let me talk about the ministry that I oversee, Christian Mamas, and we just had like this leading to start to expand the social media reach, but then self-awareness, I recognize that this space is a stressor for me, like it drains
Hmm.
me. So I'm like, okay, that space drains me. I really don't have the time. I want to set boundaries, but I need to adapt. So how do I leverage the resources I have to
Hmm.
still, be adaptable and flexible? So we had to hire a social media manager to manage that for us, so I don't get exposed to those stresses, and someone else who is able to manage all those stresses, yeah, you can get exposed to that. So you have to
Eh,
be self-aware, like, okay, these are my triggers, and I'm going to manage them proactively by doing this. So it's a continuous process of reflecting and
Yeah.
examining yourself and questioning, why do I do what I do? What's the impact on this on me? And that's an important core of emotional intelligence when it comes to self-regulation. Questioning, why am I feeling this way,
Hmm.
and what can I do to solve it, so that next time when that situation comes again, you are not like down there. You've already taken, how
You've
to
learned.
manage the situation. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, I keep forgetting the questions screen. Okay. Please, if you have any questions, don't forget to send them via Slido, and then I can ask Dr. Timmy right here. Okay. Um, and then final question for today. When it comes to career opportunities or entrepreneurial opportunities that are in alignment with our value. Um, I used to tell persons for the longest time, I'll tell persons that I don't see myself as an entrepreneur. I am
Mhm.
not a business person. I just don't know how. But then I'm the girl that if you have an idea, tell me what your idea is. And I'll literally blow it open for you, help you with clarity and all of those things. But for whatever reason, I just always thought that it was impossible for me to do it for myself. And honestly, I still I still feel like that sometimes because my parents will come and tell me, oh, I have this idea, and I'll be like, oh, that's good. You could do this, and we could break it down, and they're looking at me like, why are you not doing that for your own business? And I'm like, I don't know. It comes naturally. Like, I don't know why. So maybe this is the part where you help me, right? As I'm going to make this one a personal question. So as I'm developing my emotional intelligence, I know like there are these 5 areas and I need to go really think through and then figure out the areas where I'm missing one thing or the other and then try to fill up those gaps. But then as I work, even as we go into 2025 and trying to develop my emotional intelligence, how can I now leverage that to build my ability to be able to see and seize, right? I'm seeing these opportunities and I'm taking advantage of them, whether it's in my career or it's in business opportunities that come my way. So I'm making that one personal because that question is for me. Other persons can learn from what you have to say, but that question is for me.
All right. So, as a business owner myself, like
Hmm.
you can have all these ideas, but with you developing the dimension of emotional intelligence, which is like social skills and your self awareness, you're able to see, okay, I can do this, right? But then I think I can invite someone else to do this, if I'm not able to do it because I know what to do, right? But then I don't think I can do everything. So it's about assessing your values, assessing your strength, self reflection. Okay, what can I do? And how can I use other relationships or network with people in a manner that would help me still achieve my goal? So, you know, expanding your self awareness, knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, the unique thing that you bring to the table, and then networking with people. So those two things are really important in enhancing, in seizing career or entrepreneurial opportunities. All right. Yes, I think those are the big ones here for me from decisions. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So I'll say in your like final note, and then I'll ask it from 2 point views as an employee and as a business owner. What would you tell someone sitting down right now and thinking about their 2025? Like, what 2 weeks? Yeah, pretty much 2 weeks to the end of
Mhm.
2024. And now they're thinking about how they want their 2025 to go, especially as it relates to their career growth, business growth, and then ensuring that their mental health is stable through these growths. What thoughts, what advice would you have for persons even as they begin to plan towards what they would like to see in 2025, even as we round up?
Okay. Yeah. There's a saying that if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's where emotional intelligence ties in is you setting those goals and then being intentional about maximizing the resources that you have and reaching those goals and saying, okay, I have these goals, but based on my own self reflection or my assessment of myself. I am limited in this, so I'm going to use enhance my social skills to achieve these goals. Or you get what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
setting these goals and just make becoming more emotionally intelligent part of your goal. And that would actually, so when you say, okay, I will be more emotionally intelligent this year, that means you have to grow in those five dimensions of emotional intelligence. And as you grow in those five dimensions of emotional intelligence, then you are strengthening your value system. Begin to your decisions are informed by, by your values rather than just, oh, things are happening and you're just going with the flow. You get what I'm saying? You have
Yeah.
something guiding you. So if you say, okay, I'm going to be more empathetic, so how do I make that a part of something that will drive growth for my business? Maybe I begin to give more, maybe I look for opportunities to, give to nonprofits, and how that will contribute to growth for me. And
Mm.
yeah, that's all that is coming to mind for me. Just make becoming emotionally intelligent part of your goals. I mean, part of your goals for the new year, and then strengthen those dimensions of emotional intelligence. When you do that, you strengthen your mental health, and also you will make decisions that are informed by your value system.
Awesome.
I hope
Awesome.
that answers.
Yes, I really like that. Is like I know like when persons are thinking about a new year, you're thinking about all of the certifications you want to get and all of these different things that you want to do for your business that you're forgetting. Sometimes we forget ourselves,
Yeah.
right? We forget the intentionality in us growing from point A to point B because, well, one of statues were expected to grow and you're either growing or you're diminishing. So even as we're setting those goals that are easy to tick, hopefully we're also setting the goals where we're looking at our emotional intelligence and seeing how it really does tie in a lot with our mental health. Where we're looking at that those five dimensions and saying, okay, so how self-aware am I? Am I regulated? Am I self-regulated? Do I have the reasonable amount of social skills that I need to function
Mhm.
even in these new areas that I'm seeing myself going into in 2025? And at the same time, I also, okay, so if there's nobody to motivate me, if there's nobody to drive, to ginger me, like, will I do it by myself? Do I have enough grace that if there's no one cheering me on, would I still be able to achieve these goals? And if the answer to that is yes, you're running it, the answer to that is no. And you're saying, oh, I need to now build my own community. Before I even think about these goals, as I'm beginning to work on these goals, I need to build my own community of, in quotes,
Yeah.
cheerleaders, persons that will keep me pushing. Like, I don't know what I was expecting from this episode, but I think like you've already got like, sorry, alarm above and beyond. Thank you for the clarity. Like that's the word. Like the clarity that you've afforded, and I'm speaking for myself and hopefully for my guests as well. The clarity that you've afforded us by reason of these episodes today and the way you've answered these questions. And we hope that we can come back at the end of 2025 and say that, oh, I was able to check this, and this off just by reason of everything that Dr. Tammy shared today. From the bottom of my heart, Tammy, thank you. This episode was
My
supposed to
pleasure.
hold last week, and Tammy fell badly, really terribly sick. And she's like, you know what, we'll do this again. And I can see you're still coughing. So I know, but I'm glad that you're doing well and that you still chose to say yes and say, let's do this next week. I trust God that will be perfect. And I'm glad that God took all the glory and you're good. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Thank you for your vulnerabilities with us today. I appreciate you. And to everyone that joined, I am grateful. Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy Saturday to join us today. This recording would also be posted on YouTube, so you could watch again even as you set your goals and plan towards the new year. I'll see us all again in 2025. Till then, God bless you. Bye, everyone.
Hi.